So checking out Bonfida token, it's been about a week or so since I made my last video, and the last couple of videos I've really been talking about how we are in a pretty nasty downtrend, and every time we have these quick spikes up, they always end up being local tops. So if we zoom out, I don't want to go through every single piece of data that I've got, but you can see we've got a local high up here, lower high, we had a spike up, lower high, and another lower high. So, the market structure in the short term for Bonfide is not looking too good. We were previously running off this macro, or not really macro fib, more of a midterm fib since we bottomed down here from high to low. You can see we've recently taken out the 786 Fibonacci. So, we've broken all market structure to the upside. We are now heading down. If we look at the micro, actually wait, where is this fib from? This fib isn't attached to anything. I have no idea what that's doing on my screen. Maybe it moved over. Maybe we were looking at this from low to high. But nonetheless, let me get rid of this for a second, because we made this prediction on the 11th of March. It's the 11th of April now, so I've been talking about this move down to the previous lows at 133. I've honestly been talking about this move for over a month, so it's been difficult for me to make too many updates on this when it just keeps on having local high, dead cat bounce, and then move to the downside. But nonetheless, I've been talking about this move down to this previous low for a month now. It has now been 1 month, and it looks like we are strongly coming down. We've taken out these previous lows. So in my opinion, I still think Bonfida needs to come down another 11% to sweep the lows, and here's where things get really sticky. If we focus on the lower time frames before we jump into the bigger picture, you can see on the 4 hourly, we've recently run into the short-term moving average on these EMA ribbons. We keep on getting rejected from these. Ever since these fired short, we've been having a hard time. It's really the short-term moving average. We're not coming up to any of our longer-term moving averages. This thicker red line and thicker green line when it's on the upside is the short-term moving average. So when we're in an uptrend, it is the one at the top. When we're in a downtrend, it is the one in the bottom. Most of the time, obviously, if we're in a strong downtrend, it is, a shorter moving average, so it will come down a lot faster than these longer ones. And we're not even making it up to the long-term moving averages. The 4 hour is really telling me we're not looking good. We're emming out, we keep on having these local highs, and the squeeze mom momentum indicator reset its bearish momentum when we came up to the short-term moving average on the 4 hour. Now the squeeze mom momentum indicator has a lot more room to move to the downside. So the 4 hour is telling me we're coming at least down to 133, and if we look at what's going on the daily, the daily's telling me a slightly different picture. Now, it is not really likely that we are entering this daily downtrend, and it is going to be over in a few days. I think it is a bit of hopium to kind of think that we would be bottoming down here at 133, because the momentum indicators have really only started snowballing down to the downside, and I think this could get ugly in the short term. And the reason why I think this mainly is, for the past week, if you watch my Bitcoin updates, I've been saying how I believe we need a quick flush out to 40,000 to shake out the weak hands. It took a couple of days of bouncing around these EMA ribbons, but we are now heading down. I said we were coming down 7.5%. We now only have about 4% to come down. We're basically halfway there, but momentum indicators to the downside are still picking up on Bitcoin, selling volumes increasing. And all in all, Bitcoin, I'm not going to look at the lower time frames, but Bitcoin looks like it wants to come down to 40,000 in my opinion. And for Bonfida, how will this fare? If Bitcoin moves down, 4%, is Bonfida really only going to move down 10%? Because Bitcoin's down 2.5% today and Bonfida's down 9%. So in my opinion, this could get very, very ugly if we don't hold this price target. And, once again, I've been talking about this price target since the 11th of March, so it's kind of ironic we're covering it again. It's been a whole month now, but all we've done is put in another local high, which was a lower high. So I still have to assume the bearish trend is intact. I think we're at least coming down to 133, and if we don't hold 133, we're going to need to start covering some lower price targets. So if we look at the micro trend, we've got 117 on the table. If we lose 133, then 117 is going to be your next region to bounce. And once again, momentum indicators to the daily are really picking up to the downside. So I definitely think we need to, be open-minded and consider that this move to the downside could definitely be in play. Now, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to focus on the micro fibs from those targets. That is a bit too extreme in my opinion. But basing this off the last impulse we've had, your next fib target would be down here at 117. We really need to hold this range. If we lose both 133, then 117 needs to hold. Like this big green box that I'm going to put in here, this is a huge area of support. If we lose it, you know, I really don't see too much else where we can bounce. I mean, you've got a 2.618 down here at 55 cents. I'm trying to find something more conservative. But I don't think, you know, looking at these impulses would do too much good because they were quite short-lived. I'm really focusing on the micro bounce that we've got going on right now. Your 1.618 is down here at $1.17. In my opinion, once again, I think we're coming down to 133, but we could potentially be coming down to as low as 117. And, you know, we're, like I said, we're pretty much halfway down. Worst case scenario, we need to bounce after having a 21% drop. But I do think, you know, at least this 10% drop is on the table. So I'm going to keep this where it is just to kind of signify that, you know, this was a prediction we made from a long time ago. I really want to see this taken out because, you know, I've had this on my mind for the past month now. I just want to see this price target get taken out. So all in all, bearish momentum is really starting to pick up. We never fired bullish on the daily. The downtrend for Bonfida is still very intact. Daily squeeze momentum indicators really starting to snowball and pick up downside momentum. So the momentum indicators are telling me that 117 is on the table. The market structure is telling me 133 is on the table. This green range encompasses both those opinions. So keep your eyes on 133 to 117. And also, once again, lower time frames. They're really pointing to me that the bearish momentum has been reset. So, you know, it's going to start moving down a lot quicker in my opinion. So I imagine this will be hit in the next week. Nonetheless, I imagine this would be hit in about a week when we were down here a month ago, and we're still talking about this price target a month later. So keep your eyes on 133. I'm hoping for a strong bounce from there. If we don't, 117 really needs to hold. Otherwise, we're going to have to start talking about some nice, nasty price targets. So keep your eyes on this green box. That's all I've got for you today for Bonfida. Once again, none of this is financial advice. It's just my opinion. And yeah, cowboy out. Peace.